Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelove and this is Speedplay Touggourt number 13. We start off in 4 wars. I'm going to go ahead and attack some natives and just ignore Southeast Asia as we don't have enough forces to deal with everything at once. We're going to bring a small portion of our fleet away from Venice, not the entirety of it though, as I'm afraid that French army will go and just stack wipe us. And we're going to go ahead and drop what remains of the army off and probably go ahead and defeat that sieging force of Corsicans on Sardinia. Meanwhile, our colonial nations are doing fairly well on their own, so we don't have to worry about them. A battle does begin, and it just does not go in our favor, which is not great. On that note, we'll go ahead and check on our other fronts. We only have to worry about East Africa, and that's going fairly well. We'll go ahead and invade Yemen's island. Meanwhile, what we can probably do, we will just pull our forces away as there is a massive Spanish army on its way. I look about getting a general, although we don't really have any great options there. And our navy does not get there in time. The Spanish do land. We'll just attempt to avoid them as we cannot hope to win that battle. Which is just terrible news. Hopefully, well, I've been hoping that we would avoid this sort of occurrence. But with that done, we may just attempt to first upgrade our navy so that we can clear the seas in the long run and draw as many forces as we can from East Africa. That war is nearly over, so we should be able to do that fairly soon. We'll go ahead and detach our damaged ships and maybe rove around destroying whatever ships of theirs we can get at without really risking our fleet. So we go ahead and we do load an army up. Unfortunately, the Spanish have moved over, so we go ahead and disband that 11 stack as we couldn't have saved it, and I don't want to lose the war score for the battle that would have occurred. We do win the battle in Sardinia, though, and we do take Yemen's island, although we can't peace out and take it as well, so we will probably have to invade Yemen itself. Meanwhile, a large naval battle occurs, which is not going in our favor, so we retreat. However, once that navy goes away, we may be able to move forward. And we go ahead and engage the East Africans in a small battle. It isn't too much to worry about. At this point, the seas look clear, so we go ahead and blockade Corsica to move our army across, and we go ahead and invade Yemen proper to get enough war score to take their island. We continue to just pick off navies where we see them. There is a large Yemeni army, so we attack that. And at this point, Yemen will still not accept peace, so we go ahead and split the army up to just carpet siege them until they're willing to negotiate. It's a bit of a hassle, but really that's a small enough army it doesn't matter. We'll go ahead and send our navy up to just destroy whatever else we can and finish colonizing this one island. Now, we've more or less cleared the seas. There had been a huge amount of enemy ships, and after we just won that battle, there's significantly less. We do start just following through their armies, and we unfortunately lose all of our trade ships just then. We attempt to get the French fleet, and we do manage to actually attack it. They actually attack us, which is weird enough. But with that done, we're in a much better position navally. Now with that all said and done, luckily Ragusa has been annexed, which ends our war with France. Admittedly, France isn't the one invading us, but that does kind of help. We don't have to worry about their armies in Italy anymore, which means we could probably go ahead and invade. So in fact, I think we'll go ahead and get started on that. We do have to worry about a few more enemy ships, although it looks as though they mainly just took care of themselves right then. Our war against Yemen is hopefully going to draw to a close in the near future. We do go ahead and finish up an idea group and get some technologies. And we'll go ahead and just attempt to heal our boats for 1 or 2 months and then move forward. And once again, the enemies do end up nearly attacking our navy. But I won't complain as that works in our favor. We'll probably fall back into the Mediterranean now though. And the Spanish are making significant gains, basically everywhere, which is not ideal. We can hopefully just get our army away and invade their holdings. We do manage to get Yemen's island, and we can move our army back and hopefully deal with these rebellions in our vassal. Meanwhile, with our army on ships, we can go ahead and just invade. And from here, we'll move into Italy proper, just like the Allies in World War II. And hopefully we have enough forces to win against this rebellion. Conveniently, the siege against Corsica finishes, so we'll get that army as well. And we'll just invade the Papal States proper with that force, as well as moving any extra forces away from the Spanish holdings in the region. At this point, we probably won't be able to move any forces from East Africa as there are Spanish forces holding them, but we can get our troops from Venice and go ahead and invade. We are also at war with Milan. They are in the same war as the Portuguese and Spanish are, so if we do end up occupying Milan, we can hopefully get them out of the war, or get a bit of war score to hopefully end it sooner. Now, the war against the Papal State, Corsica, and Venice is our own war of aggression. We would have had to fight the French, except we were already in a war with them, which is why we went into that war. There's a massive battle going on with our navies, and it's a little on the fence at first, but we do win it. And anyway, so we were fighting a war of aggression against the Italians. The war against Portugal and Spain is due to Portuguese Brazil attempting to get their independence for a second time. The first time something similar to this happened, we peaced out and they did not get their independence. So hopefully we will be able to go for broke on this war and actually win it. We do annex Corsica, and unfortunately we can't make peace with Venice until we get peace with the Papal State, and I want to get at least a little bit, as honestly I just want something as essentially reparations for what's going on in North Africa right now. So we'll probably just siege out the Papal States as best we can. Meanwhile, there is an enemy navy we attempt to get, however, it doesn't quite work out. And we're just really losing in North Africa. At this point, it's mainly just going to be us sieging for the near future. We do fight a battle against the Milanese, and I do end up having to pull forces. We do win that battle. We lost a battle against some rebels, although realistically we're just going to have to let the rebels do their thing for the near future, as we are not in a position. We do build some mercenaries to take care of them, as hopefully the Spanish are just too distant to actually attack our force there. And we start moving our troops up into Milan to just siege them out. You know, our mercenary force is more or less together, and the Milanese are being fully sieged. So, while this is obviously not going ideally, it isn't going too poorly, and the Papal State's being a little stubborn, so we'll probably have to fully siege them in order to get anything out of the peace deal. We do win the battle against the rebels in East Africa. And at this point, it's not looking too poor. The war score for both wars is really high, and we're obviously going to win the war of aggression. It's just a matter of what we'll take. I will annex Venice proper, and just take the southernmost portion of the Papal States. We move an army up, just to get as many forces as we can out of the Papal States. We do make peace and core everything but one province, which is the core of Milan's. We do have rebels in Southeast Asia, although that's just going to have to be that way. And there is a significant Spanish presence in North Africa. Hopefully, though, peace will be made with Milan in the near future, at which point we can maybe see what our options are. And speaking of, peace was made, and I do notice that none of our forces are exiled. So what that means, we are also able to march through France for whatever reason. I'm not going to question it. So we go ahead and just send our forces over into Spain itself, and we'll just repay the favor in kind. And we'll see how much they enjoy having their entire mainland occupied by a foreign power. I imagine probably not very much. We go ahead and split our forces into sieging groups, and it looks as though there's a Spanish army, which kind of negates that whole effort. But we'll keep spreading our armies about and hopefully just destroy this army. We do defeat it, but we don't stack wipe it, which is a bit of a bummer. But we'll just redirect some forces. There is also a second army So, crazy enough, it looks as though the Spanish are going to defend their homeland, which is kind of a novel concept. And, yeah, that's not exactly ideal, but we do have a lot of new holdings in Europe, which is good. We can't really make peace, which is really unfortunate. We do win the battle, though, and we'll go ahead and attempt to stack wipe their force, as this is still salvageable, although we don't have a very good spread at the moment with our forces, as we weren't exactly expecting to fight. But we do stack wipe one army, and it looks as though the other battle is just going to keep going for a while. We go ahead and set up a siege on Portugal's capital, and we do win the battle, which is fantastic news. We go ahead and defeat some Spanish armies that are just straggling around, and we intercept the retreating force, although not quickly enough that they are the attacker. At this point, though, as long as we maintain sieges of their capital and the Portuguese capital, I can't imagine they're going to still want to fight the war for very long whatsoever. It's not exactly the ideal situation. Our capital itself has been sieged out, but the AI just made peace, which is great news. And not only did they make peace, but they made peace giving Portuguese Brazil its independence. So we can go ahead and bring our armies back, and if we give it a few days, I'm pretty sure it'll just go ahead and tick over, indicating that it is just regular Brazil. So we'll go ahead and just let that happen. They love us, and they're our ally, which is great news. Unfortunately, a rebellion is successful, and there we go. They are now just regular Brazil. And in fact, instead of sending all of our armies back to North Africa, we should probably send them over to southern Italy to just defeat any inevitable revolt. And there we go. This is great. Oh, hey, look, Peru is also independent now. So that's great. We've basically destroyed the American Portuguese colonial empire in one fell swoop. Alright, and now all we really have to do is get this army in East Africa over into the Southeast Indies, and we can hopefully go ahead and destroy all of the rebellions and focus on the next course of action. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.